Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories.
I remember how it all started. The news reports were almost a joke at first. Something you'd see in a bad movie. A new flu, they called it. Nothing to worry about. We all just kept living our lives. Then the numbers started climbing. The death toll was a ticker on the bottom of the screen, and it was hard to believe. It wasn't the kind of thing that just happened to old people or folks who were already sick. It was a lottery, a truly random roll of the dice that took one person out of 5. My friend Anthony Anderson lost his younger brother, John, a healthy guy who was a college football star. Just like that, a cough, a low fever, then nothing for 2 days. Then it was all over. The worst part was the quiet period. You'd get the first symptoms, a hacking cough that felt like razor blades, and a heat in your body that wouldn't quit. A day or two of that, and then it would all vanish. You'd think you were fine. You'd feel better than you had in years, full of energy. A day or two of that, and then the roulette wheel spun again. For a lucky 4 out of 5, that was it. The flu was gone. For the 5th person, a switch was flipped. Their body just shut down. Organs failed one after another, and they were gone in less than 2 days. Life became a series of small, terrifying calculations. A sniffle from a stranger on the bus. A dry cough from a coworker in the next cubicle. Every single sound was a potential death sentence. My apartment felt like a bunker. I went weeks without seeing my friends in person, communicating only through video calls. I missed the smell of fresh air, the feel of a crowded street. I missed people. Michael Taylor, my best friend since we were kids, was a doctor in the city hospital. He was one of the few people I still trusted to tell me the truth. He'd call me late at night, his voice a low whisper, tired beyond belief. "It's a zoo in here," he said one night. "We're just trying to keep people comfortable. We don't have enough beds, not enough staff. We're just putting out fires. The randomness of it is what's killing us. The families, you see them on the video calls, all of them praying their loved one is a survivor. Then you have to watch their faces when the organs start failing. It's awful, and we can't do anything about it. Any news on a cure? Anything at all?" I asked. I felt like I was grasping for a lifeline. He was quiet for a long time. "The research is insane. Billions of dollars being poured into labs worldwide. They've tried everything. Antivirals, plasma transfusions. Nothing works. The only thing they've been able to figure out is that if you survive it once, you're not immune. We've had a few cases of people getting it a second time. And the odds are still the same. 1 in 5. The thought of living the rest of my life in this constant state of fear was more terrifying than the virus itself. The world was slowly falling apart. Businesses were closing. Supply chains were breaking down. The government tried to keep things together. But how do you enforce order when a quarter of your population is disappearing? Then David Williams, my other good friend, started to get sick. We had a video call, and I saw him cough. It was a deep, chest-rattling sound. He looked pale, too. "You okay?" I asked, my heart sinking. He shook his head. "Just a little bug, I think. Low fever. Nothing major." My blood ran cold. "David, you need to call Michael. You need to get tested. Relax. It's probably just a regular cold." "I feel fine, mostly." But he didn't sound fine. His words were punctuated by small, dry coughs. Over the next 2 days, I called him 100 times. He was still sick, still coughing. He felt weak, he said. He had the low fever that wouldn't break. I could tell he was scared. We all were. I saw myself in him, and I knew that if it happened to him, it could happen to me too. The virus didn't care about your friendships or your plans for the future. Then, on the 3rd day, he called me. His voice was strong, full of energy. "I'm good. The cough is gone. The fever broke. I feel amazing, actually. I think I dodged the bullet." A wave of relief washed over me. I felt the tension I hadn't even realized I was carrying drain out of me. I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to hug him. I wanted things to be normal again. "Thank God, David," I said, my voice cracking. "Seriously, thank God." "I know, right? It was a close one. But hey, I'm in the clear." He sounded like a new man. He even talked about going for a run later that day. I spent the rest of the day in a good mood for the first time in months. I even opened my window and let the fresh air in. It felt like a small victory. Later that night, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered it, and it was Michael. His voice wasn't tired this time. It was filled with a frantic energy I'd never heard before. "I need you to listen to me very carefully," he said. His voice clipped and fast. "Is David okay? Did he call you?" "Yeah, he's great. He feels amazing. Said he was going for a run. I replied, confused by his tone. Michael was quiet again, but this time it was different. It was a silence filled with dread. I just saw his test results. It was a new strain. It's a new version of the virus. We don't know anything about it. We don't know what it does. But it's not the same as the others. David wasn't tested for the old virus. He was tested for a new one. This one has something called a dormant period. A few weeks of nothing and then something. We don't know. We don't know what happens. My stomach dropped to my feet. What do you mean, dormant period? What's going to happen to him? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. I'm not sure, but the new tests we've been running on it, the results are showing something different. It looks like it's a different kind of virus. It's not just a flu. David is still very much in danger. Michael's voice shook. In fact, he might be in even more danger than he was before. We think we found the cause, but it's not the organs. It's his mind. The virus, it's doing something to his brain. We think we have a lead. But David, his voice trailed off. He's not well. I need to get to him now. I just wanted to let you know. The call ended. The silence that followed was heavy, more terrifying than any news report. I stared at my phone, the screen dark, and felt the familiar dread creep back into my bones. A cold, icy terror that had been a part of me for so long. David wasn't out of the woods. He was somewhere else, in a new, darker forest, and he had no idea. And I didn't know if I would ever see him again. The one thing that I was sure of, the one person I could trust, was gone. And I couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, the real danger was just beginning. It was a race against time, a race that I wasn't sure we could win. And I had a bad feeling about what the new virus was doing. A bad feeling that it wasn't just physical, it was mental, a race against the virus in a mind. The phone clicked off, and the silence in my apartment was deafening. Michael's words echoed in my head. It's doing something to his brain. I tried calling David back, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I called him a dozen times. Nothing. The relief I had felt just an hour ago was replaced by a cold, sharp dread. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. I knew I couldn't just sit there. I had to go to him. I had to see if he was okay. My car felt like a tin can on the empty streets. The city was a ghost town. Streetlights flickered over abandoned cars and overgrown sidewalks. The only sounds were the tires on the asphalt and the pounding of my heart. I was so scared, but I pushed down the feeling. I had to be strong for David. I pulled up to his apartment building, a massive brick structure that looked like a tomb in the dark. The lobby was empty, the front desk abandoned. I took the elevator up to his floor, my hand hovering over the button. The ride up felt like an eternity. When the doors opened, the hallway was dark and quiet. I walked to his door, my shoes making a soft tapping sound that seemed to echo down the hall. I knocked once, then again, harder this time. No answer. David, it's me, I said, my voice too loud in the stillness. I tried the doorknob. It was unlocked. I pushed the door open slowly, my heart in my throat. The apartment was a mess. There were empty takeout containers everywhere, papers strewn across the floor, and a strange, sweet smell in the air. David was sitting in an armchair in the living room, staring at a blank TV screen. His eyes were wide, but they didn't seem to be looking at anything. He didn't even turn to look at me when I came in. David, are you okay? I asked, walking over to him. He blinked slowly, like he was waking up from a dream. He turned his head and looked at me, a blank expression on his face. Oh, hey, didn't hear you come in. His voice was flat, devoid of the energy it had just a few hours ago. He didn't seem to recognize the urgency in my voice, or the fear in my eyes. It was like I was just a stranger who had walked into his apartment. He was different. Michael called me, he said. He said the virus wasn't gone. He said it was doing something to your mind. I didn't know how to say it without scaring him. David just laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a hollow, empty sound that made my skin crawl. My mind is fine. It's never been clearer. He leaned forward, his voice a whisper. Did you know that the air is made of glass? You can break it if you hit it hard enough. I took a step back, my mind racing. This wasn't David. This was someone else wearing his skin. His eyes, though wide, were clouded over. He was gone. David, what are you talking about? That's not true. He ignored me. Did you see them? The little birds in the corner? They were watching me. They told me to break the glass. They said if I did, everything would be okay. I tried. I hit the wall. But the birds were lying. The glass didn't break. He looked at his hand, which was red and swollen. I saw a small trickle of blood coming from his knuckles. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was completely out of it. He was talking nonsense. This was more than just a fever dream. This was something else. A whole other level of twisted. Just then, the front door burst open. It was Michael, his face pale and covered in sweat. He was holding a small medical bag. "Thank God you're here," I said, my voice shaking. He's not making any sense. He's talking about birds and glass. Michael looked at David, his eyes filled with a sad, desperate understanding. "It's worse than I thought. The virus. It's not a dormant period. It's a rewriting of the brain. It's destroying the hippocampus. That's why he's talking nonsense. The virus is making new connections, new memories. It's scrambling everything. So he's just going to stay like this?" I asked, looking at my friend. "I don't know," Michael said, his voice cracking. "We've never seen anything like this. This new strain. It's like a different beast entirely. It's not physical. It's psychological. The virus is. It's a parasite of the mind. It's eating him from the inside out." David looked at us, a strange smile on his face. "They're coming for us, you know. The birds. They want to get in. They want to see what we're doing." He stood up, slowly, his movements jerky and unnatural. He walked to the window and stared out at the street. His hands were clenched into fists, his knuckles white. Michael pulled out a small syringe from his bag. "I have to sedate him. I can't risk him hurting himself. We need to get him to the hospital." "No," David said, his voice suddenly clear and so much colder. "The birds don't like doctors. They don't like needles." He turned to face us, a glint in his eye I had never seen before. It was a look of pure malice, of hatred. The smile was gone, replaced by a snarl. "The birds told me to stop you. They told me what you were going to do. They told me you were going to stop me from joining them. They told me you were my enemy." He took a step towards us. I froze. This wasn't a sick person talking. This was someone else entirely. His mind, that David the First knew, was gone, replaced by something dark and violent. He was ready to fight. And he wasn't just sick. He was a weapon. The virus had turned him into a monster. And there was no telling what he would do next. It was a race against time. A race I was afraid we might not win. And the one thing I was sure of, the one person I could trust, was gone. And I couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, the real danger was just beginning. It was a race against time. A race that I wasn't sure we could win. And I had a bad feeling about what the new virus was doing. A bad feeling that it wasn't just physical. It was mental, a race against the virus in a mind. But now, it was a race against a body, too. And I was in his apartment, standing between him and Michael, with no escape. David lunged. The snarl on his face was inhuman, a twisted mask of rage. He grabbed a heavy bookend from a nearby shelf, a marble statue of a horse, and swung it wildly at Michael. Michael ducked just in time, the statue whistling through the air where his head had been. I screamed, stepping back, my hand flying to my mouth. This wasn't David. The movements were too fast, too violent. He was a stranger in my friend's body. Michael scrambled back, his eyes wide with fear. "David, stop. It's me, Michael. Remember me?" But David didn't seem to hear him. He was a force of pure, uncontrolled aggression. He dropped the bookend and tackled Michael to the ground. They crashed into a coffee table, and the glass top shattered with a deafening noise. Michael dropped the syringe and it skittered across the floor, coming to a rest under the couch. I had to do something. I grabbed a lamp from a side table, a heavy, metal one. I didn't know what I was doing, but I swung it at David, hitting him on the back of his head. It was a dull, sickening thud. He let go of Michael for a second, turning to face me, his eyes full of fire. I saw the look, and I knew I had made a terrible mistake. He was going to kill me. He lunged at me, his arms outstretched. I threw the lamp at him and ran past him, grabbing Michael by the arm. "Come on, we have to go." Michael was dazed, a thin line of blood running from a cut on his forehead. We stumbled out of the apartment, slamming the door shut behind us. I fumbled with the lock, my hands shaking so much I could barely get the key in. Finally, I turned the lock. I could hear David pounding on the door from the inside, the wood groaning and cracking. We ran down the stairs, not even waiting for the elevator. We burst out into the street, the cold air hitting our faces. Michael's car was right there. We jumped in, and I slammed the door shut. Michael fumbled with the keys, his hands still shaking. He started the car and peeled out of the parking spot, tires screeching on the asphalt. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw the front door of the apartment building open. David was standing there, a wild look in his eye, a broken bookend in his hand. He didn't run after us. He just stood there, watching us go. What? What was that? I asked, my voice a whisper. Michael didn't answer right away. He was gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles were white. I don't know. The virus. It's not just psychological. It's making them stronger. Faster. He was faster than a normal person. He was different. We drove in silence for a while. The only sound the hum of the engine. The city was still and dark, a stark contrast to the violence we had just escaped. I felt a pang of guilt. We had left him. We had left David. We need to get to the hospital, I said. We have to get help for him. Michael shook his head. We can't. That's what I was trying to tell you. This new strain, it's not like the others. We're not telling anyone about it. The government, they're trying to cover it up. They don't want people to know. They're afraid of the panic it will cause. Cover it up? What are you talking about? I asked, my mind reeling. The vaccine, he said, his voice low and serious. The one they've been working on for the past 3 years. The one that's supposed to save us all. It's not a cure. It's a distraction. A way to get people to calm down. The real problem isn't the old virus. It's this new one. And they've been working on a new kind of vaccine for this one. But it's not a cure. It's containment. What do you mean, containment? I asked, my heart sinking. I can't tell you. It's classified. They would kill me if they knew I was telling you this. But I trust you. The vaccine, it's supposed to stop the mental degradation. But it doesn't cure them. It just keeps them from getting worse. It freezes them in that state. It keeps the virus from spreading. But it doesn't bring them back. It turns them into living dolls. That's what they're trying to do. They're going to use this vaccine to turn everyone who gets this new strain into a mindless drone. And they'll keep them in a place where they can't hurt anyone. It's their way of keeping the public safe. But it's not right. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The hope of a cure, of things getting back to normal, was a lie. The government wasn't trying to save us. They were trying to control us, to contain us. We have to stop them, I said, my voice full of a new kind of fear. Michael shook his head. We can't. We don't know who to trust. They have people everywhere. This is bigger than us. This is a global conspiracy. A plan to control the population. The virus. It was a test. A way to see how people would react. And now they're ready to use the real thing. And the new vaccine. It's not a cure. It's a tool of control. He pulled up to the front of a large, dark building. It wasn't a hospital. It was a research lab. A private one, funded by the government. There were armed guards at the entrance. This is where we're supposed to be, he said. This is where we were told to go if we found a case. But now, I don't know. As soon as he said that, the guards saw us. They raised their weapons and yelled for us to get out of the car. We were trapped. They were all wearing the same uniform, a dark blue with a strange symbol on the sleeve. I looked at Michael, his face pale with fear. They know, he said, his voice a whisper. They know I'm here. They know I talked to you. This was a trap all along. They're not here to help. They're here to take us. The guards surrounded the car, their guns pointed at us. We were surrounded. We had nowhere to go. And I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that we were not just in danger. We were already dead. The world I knew, the world I was trying to save, was gone. And the new world was a living hell. And the one person I thought I could trust was part of the plan. A trap set for me and for David. He wasn't a friend. He was a snake. And he had me trapped. But why? What did they want with me? Why was I so important? I had a sinking feeling I was about to find out. And I had a sinking feeling I wouldn't like the answer. The guards grabbed me and Michael, yanking us out of the car. They were professionals, silent and efficient. We were pushed into the building, down a stark white hallway that smelled of chemicals and antiseptic. My head was spinning. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. My friend, the man I trusted, had set me up. I felt a cold rage bubbling up inside me. We were brought into a large, sterile room with a single table in the center. The guards left us alone, and the heavy metal door slammed shut behind them. I turned on Michael, my voice a low growl. What is this? What have you done? You said you were trying to help, David. He wouldn't look at me. His eyes were focused on the floor, his face pale and drawn. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. Sorry, I snarled. Sorry for what? For lying to me? For using my friend as a guinea pig? For turning me over to these people? He finally looked at me, his eyes filled with a sadness that made me want to hit him. It wasn't my choice. I was a part of the program. I've been a part of it since the beginning. A cold, hard anger settled in my chest. The program? What program? What are you talking about? He took a deep breath. The vaccine. It's not a vaccine. It's a genetic sterilization agent. It was designed to stop the reproduction of the human race. The virus, the one David got, that's not a virus. It's a byproduct of the sterilization agent. A rare, unforeseen side effect that affects a small percentage of the population. What? What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Why? Why would they do that? The virus was a distraction, he said, his voice breaking. It was a way to make people accept the cure. They wanted to get rid of half the population. They wanted to start over. To rebuild, the sterilization agent was a way to control the new population, to make sure it never got out of control again. The virus David got, it's what happens when the sterilization agent backfires. It rewrites the brain. It makes them into weapons. It's not a bug. It's a feature. They wanted to see if they could control the human mind. And David, he was a test subject. My mind reeled. Everything made sense now. The world, the virus, the fear, the chaos. It was all a lie. A grand, sinister plan to control humanity. And I had been a pawn in their game. And what about me? I asked. Why am I here? What do you want with me? Michael looked at me, his eyes filled with an unreadable emotion. You're a variable, an anomaly. You're not supposed to be here. You were supposed to fall into the same trap as David. You were supposed to be one of the casualties. But you didn't. You're the one in a million. The one who survived the vaccine and its side effects. You're immune. You're the one who can't be controlled. They don't know what to do with you. So they're going to kill me? I asked, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. He shook his head. No, they're going to study you. They're going to figure out why you're immune. They're going to try to replicate you. You're the key to their final solution. The key to creating a world where no one can ever challenge them again. You're a prize, a golden ticket. I felt a cold dread settle in my bones. I wasn't a hero. I wasn't a survivor. I was a lab rat. My life, my identity, everything I thought was real was gone. David was gone, a mindless weapon in a world I no longer recognized. Michael was gone, a traitor who had sold his soul to the devil. And I was gone, a prisoner in a cage, a subject of a cruel, scientific experiment. The door opened and two men in lab coats came in. They didn't say a word. They just held up a syringe. Michael looked at me one last time, a tear rolling down his cheek. I'm sorry, he whispered again. I didn't answer. I didn't have anything to say. My life was over. The world I knew, the world I was trying to save, was gone. The new world was a living hell, a place where hope was a lie and trust was a weapon. And I, the one who was supposed to survive, was the one who was truly lost. There was no escape. There was no happy ending. There was only the cold, sterile reality of my new life as a lab rat. And I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that the only thing left for me was to become a number in their files. And I had a sinking feeling that I was about to find out what that number was.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share.